I'm afraid it's time for some utterly gratuitous drifting. And what better car to do it in than an SLS with over 560 horsepower and 479 foot-pounds of torque. The SLS replacement was recently unveiled, the AMG GT, which we'll soon see in Drive Club and hopefully a few sims in the future. It cannot be overstated how much spatial awareness is gained in VR and how useful that is for giving the driver confidence to push harder. Being able to look into these hairpins, for example, is a massive improvement just for general driving, let alone sliding around like a madman. But being able to look into the drift is even more significant. Looking exactly in the direction of travel while the car is at an angle is often quite disorientating on monitors, as the perspective is never quite right even if you've configured the field of view accurately. However, drifting does start to highlight a flaw with current VR technology, as you can't see your real hands and you're relying on the virtual model to represent your body accurately. This is less of a problem with most racing cars, as your hands tend to stay fixed in the 9 and 3 positions and the animation lines up well. But for drifting, and any time more rotation is required, particularly on road cars with slower racks, the animation is rarely going to match. Everyone has a slightly different technique. You might want to let the wheel run through your hands, other times you might need to cross your arms. As you can see here, the animation isn't matching my hands, and there's definitely a slight break in immersion when that happens. Also, the animation seems to vary by car. In the SLS here, when you turn left, they've done a strange animation to the left hand. Here I appear to be waving, which is pretty distracting. Whereas here in the Aerial Atom V8, the animation is quite a bit different, and while it still goes out of sync, there's none of that strange waving going on. There's already a lot of development going into body tracking technology, so I don't expect it to remain a problem for too long. Here's a bit of Live for Speed action as well, using the standard XR GT Turbo, which is an old favourite for throwing around. This sim is ideal for power sliding, as the tyres are very progressive over the limit and the force feedback is very pure and direct. Threading the needle through this chicane, for instance, is extremely satisfying, and the depth you see with stereoscopic 3D means that I can really sense how close I am to the walls. This depth perception can't be shown in a YouTube video, but I assure you that it makes a big difference. tested Live for Speed's option to disable the driver arms to avoid being distracted by the animation going out of sync, but it felt even more strange being a disembodied head, so I wouldn't recommend that. Just a bit of fun throwing some cars around, really enjoyable in VR. Thanks for watching.